So let's take a look at an item characteristic curve. An item characteristic curve is a straightforward picture of that formula that I showed you earlier, whatever formula or flavor of formulas it might be. The item characteristic curve does two things. It shows you the latent trait on the x-axis, and then it shows you about the probability of success on the y-axis. So you'll remember from our previous slide that the latent trait is called theta, and it is the estimate of the person's ability. And by persons, we mean the group of test takers. So these would be people here at -6. This would be lower than -4, lower than -2, lower than 0, so on. That latent trait is the amount, the density, or the quantity of the trait that you're interested in capturing that all of your measures together actually capture. Then on the y-axis, you see that this line shows you what the probability of answering that item is relative to the latent trait. So at -6, I have a 0% chance of answering that item correctly, and at +6, I have a 100% chance of answering an item correctly, and then in this example, at 0, I have about a 50% chance of answering an item correctly. So this is an example of an item that has functioned on an assessment, on a survey, on a test, on a whatever it is you're out measuring. If you saw something that looked different from this, that would be a cause of concern. This is really what you want to see in your test data. You want to see items that actually have increasing probabilities as people have more and more of whatever it is that you're modeling in your data set, whatever latent trait you've become interested in. Here's another item characteristic curve, and it simply is showing the same thing, except they've obviously broken it into quadrants for you so you can map it easier. Just a different kind of item response function, essentially a different kind of item characteristic curve. It's probably a different item than the one we just saw. And what it's showing is that in this example, a person with a perfectly average ability is, only having a 35% chance of answering a correct item, and a person with a -3 ability would only be having a 10% chance of answering an item correctly, and a +2 they would have, close to a 100% chance of answering an item correctly. So again, a different item, just showing you a different way of looking at a normal item characteristic curve. So this is the data you want to look at when you're looking at whether items work or not. What you don't want to see is an item characteristic curve, and I'm going to attempt to show you a picture with my mouse. It won't work for me though, but let's say that you had like a line that went kind of like this, that just was squiggly all over. That would be a bad item. You wouldn't want that. So these are the kinds of item response functions that we look for and that we try to find when we are validating tests.